Well, the 2020 NFL Draft will proceed as scheduled, but it won't look like last year's.
Welcome back to another video, guys. It's a slow time right now in the sports world, but we do have a few stories for you. Zach, let's start off with the NFL 2020 Draft and it being fully virtual. What are your thoughts on that? Dude, it's like a fantasy football draft.
It's basically like, once fantasy football comes around, you get on a FaceTime call with your family, friends, whoever's doing it, and you do there's videos about people with the draft boards and everything. That's basically what it is for this, and I don't like it.
Yeah, me neither. And here's the thing that we were talking about. So is Goodell just going to stand up there and, announce draft picks in front of nobody? Like, how is this going to work? Again, I know team management, they have to be in like their separate rooms and they can't be at their facilities, I believe. But what is Goodell going to do? How is this going to be filmed? I have so many questions.
Is this still going to be live broadcasted on like ESPN, like all that? And like I was saying jokingly how it's supposed to be in the Bellagio fountain, get taken out on a boat to Goodell. So jokingly, what if Goodell's just standing in the middle of the Bellagio fountain with a telephone on FaceTime?
Exactly.
And everything, and that's how we find out. It's weird.
Because that's the other thing. Like, a lot of times, it's not uncommon for players not to go to the draft, but normally they have a camera crew at their house so you can see their reaction. We're not going to have that this year, I'd assume. So, like, how are we going to see? Are we not going to get reactions? Like, this is going to just be wild, man. Guys, I thought you'd get a kick out of this. Ben Simmons found himself in a bad position while streaming a Call of Duty match. While waiting for a match to start, Simmons starts to read some comments, including one that could get him in trouble. Have a look.
Chase 11 Brooks, I wish Book would come to Philly. I'm just reading what's said.
Here you go.
I'm just reading what's said.
Shit.
I'm just reading what's said. I'm just reading what's said on my feed.
Whoa.
I'm answering questions, even though that wasn't a question.
All right, we're starting. So. Starting up.
Whoa.
Pierce said it too. Pierce said, I wish Book
Let's go.
comes to Philly.
My favorite part is how the Australian point guard repeated several times he was only reading the feed. Now, obviously, the 76ers could use Booker, who can bring a lot of things to the table, especially from deep, the weakest point in Philly's offense. Moving on to the NBA. News has came out today that organizations are prohibited from conducting in-person workouts or interviews with draft-eligible players until further notice. NBA teams will be allowed to conduct virtual interviews with draft prospects, but are limited to 4 hours total for any single player. This is just bizarre as well. Not being able to meet players in real life, only having 4 hours with a prospect.
You kind of said it perfectly before you started this, but you're like, are teams going to blame if a person's a bust because they didn't get to meet them in person? And
Exactly.
I mean, I feel like that's what it really is.
Guys, also more news came out of the NBA from Adam Silver that May 1st would be the earliest that we could potentially have more news on the NBA season. Zach, you know how I feel about this. I've made a video about it previously, but do you have any hope left in the NBA season?
I have hope, and I think I don't have hope in the regular season anymore.
Yeah.
I have hope in just the playoffs right now. And I've told you and everybody else that I talk about it, like, it sucks because the West was so stacked, like towards the bottom in close competition, and it just sucks that there's a chance that it just goes out the drain and it's just straight to the postseason.
Yeah. And then that also brings up questions. There's, videos online. There's reports that, Chris Middleton and Giannis both, haven't done really any basketball activities in the last 3 weeks. This was as of a few days ago, but, like you said, if you just go right into the playoffs, I don't know, man. And finally, former Steeler Antonio Brown gets a new agent, prepping for a return to the NFL. News came out, I believe, last week that Antonio Brown was actually working out with Lamar Jackson, and more news came out today that he has actually gotten himself a new agent.
Antonio Brown has hired a veteran agent, Ed Wazalewski, of EMG Sports to represent him. And I'm not too sure what this is going to have on the impact of him being able to get back into the league, man. I mean, especially with him getting charged I think last week or something like that. It's just hopefully his career doesn't end like how it has. Hopefully we get to see him on the field again, but I'm not sure.
Like Zack said, the NFL will likely review the new charges against Brown as they continue to investigate sexual assault allegations. So, realistically, do I think Antonio Brown will be back in the NFL if we even have a season this upcoming year? No. Maybe in the future. Again, he's just such a talented player that I'd like to see him back, but with Antonio Brown, you never know. Outside of that, guys, there isn't much going on in the sports world, so I hope you guys do understand. Thank you so much for watching. Zack, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I'll leave his link down below. It's been your boy MboneHD, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.